Hey y'all, I have a calculus problem. It says find an equation of a sphere if one of its diameters has endpoints 9, 9, 9, and 5, 5, 7. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw it real quick. I have a circle. It says sphere. I'm going to do a circle just because it's easier to visualize if it's like 2D. A sphere is like 3D, so think of like a bouncing ball, like a dodgeball, a basketball, a baseball. It's just 3D. And I'm drawing it in 2D, which is called a circle. So think of a flat piece of paper that's cut out to look like a circle. Diameter goes all the way across, right, from endpoint to endpoint. Right? So it's going to be 999. This little dot right here is 999. This one's 557. For equation of a sphere, it provides the point, it provides the center, and it provides the radius. Right? All they gave me is endpoints. So that's all they gave me. I need to find the center, I need to find the radius. How do I find the center? Well, if I take this circle and I go right down the center, I can get right to the middle, the midpoint. I can get to the midpoint or the center, which is precisely what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the center, right? So imagine this piece of paper I have, right? It was a basketball or a dodgeball, and I turned it into a flat circle, a piece of paper. I take this piece of paper and I fold it in half, exactly down the center, the way you do like origami. Or if you took like an Uncrustable and cut it down the center, like perfectly even down the center, or like a pizza where you're just cutting it in half down the center. That's the midpoint, right? The midpoint is the center. And there happens to be a formula we can use called the midpoint formula. Let me go ahead and label the endpoints with alphabets or variables. That way we know how to label the midpoint formula I will present to you. Let's call these 9s U, V, and W. And let's call the 557, the second set, P, Q, and S. These are just random. You can do anything. A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay? And the midpoint formula is going to be 3 points. So it's going to be a bunch of commas inside a parenthesis. It's going to be U plus P over 2. It's going to be V plus Q over 2. It's going to be W plus S over 2. So you can end up with 3 points, right? Just like the endpoints are, you're going to end up with 3 points. So let's go ahead and fill that in. This is called the midpoint formula, right? For me to find the center. Why is there 2's in the bottom, the denominator? Well, it's that piece of paper I folded in half. This right here, this is the diameter, that line I drew in the center. But if I just draw it halfway, that's the radius, right? So I'm trying to find that center piece. So let's go ahead and fill it out. So if I were to fill it out, it's going to look like 9 plus 5 over half. It's going to look like 9 plus 5 over half again. And it's going to look like 9 plus 7 over half. What does that give me? It gives me 14 over 2. It gives me 14 over 2 again. And then it gives me 16 over 2. Can I simplify it further? Yeah, with these 3 I can. So what does it give me? It gives me 7, 7, 8. This is my center or my midpoint. We'll refer to it as the center because it helps us understand the question a little bit better. And that question is find an equation of a sphere. So we're just finding what we need to put into the equation, right, of a sphere. We're going to have the answer be the equation, and we're just going to fill in the blanks of certain parts of it. That's all we're doing. Right? So what do I do next? Because I just found the center. Now I need to find the radius. Let's move on to the next page because I'm running out of room. So this was my center. It gave me the Is that too big? Is that font too big? Let's see. I just found my center. With 7, 7, 8. And I had my endpoints cut in half. And that's how I found my center. So next I need to find the radius. I need to find the radius. How do I find the radius? Well, I can show you what the formula is for equation of a sphere, because that's what we're going to use. We're going to use that formula, and it's going to have a square root on top, and that's how we're going to find radius. So we have x plus minus h square plus y minus k square plus z minus l square equals r, right? So all of that leads up to finding r. The x, y, and z is the point, right? Like we've been studying, x, y, z is points. And then that h, k, and l, that's the center. We just found the center just a second ago with that midpoint thing we did. So we already have the center figured out. We already have it figured out. So what do I do for point? How do I know what to put in? Because it gave me something called endpoints. It didn't give me something called points. Well, I can use the endpoints. I can use those. That's cool. It's no big deal. I don't have to adjust them or anything. So which one do I use? Because I have 9, 9, 9, and I also have 5, 5, 7. So which one do I use? Let's go ahead and fill this out a little bit so we can keep track. I just found the center, which is 7, 7, 8. So now I have x, y, z, those points, and I still have r. I need to figure out the endpoints. Which one do I use, 9, 9, 9 or 5, 5, 7? Well, the beauty is you can use any one of them. The endpoints are equal. Unless it states otherwise, it's understood that it's equally distant from the center, right? So if I were to have that piece of paper that I just folded in half earlier, let's pretend I had that piece of paper and I set it down on the ground and I had a machine to turn me into like microscopic, just like a little size of an ant or something. And I crawled onto that little piece of paper and I got right in that very center, which is 7, 7, 8. And I walked like 10 steps to the right and I walked 10 steps to the left. They would be exactly even. So my 999 and my 557 are equal. Therefore, I can use any one I want. I'm personally going to show you both. I'm going to use both so I could show you. So we're basically going to do the formula or this problem like twice real quick so you could see that I end up with the same answer. So this right here is the equation of a sphere, right? That's the form. And I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I'm going to put a square root on top. And that's going to give me the answer for r. So which one do I use? Let's do 999 first. And then we're going to go right back and we're going to do 557. So when I have this 999 first, what does it give me? It gives me 2 squared plus 2 squared plus 1 squared. What does that give me? It gives me 4 plus 4 plus 1, which gives me 9. That's my r. Okay, well, what if I did something different? What if I instead did square root, and instead of doing 9, I did 5 what was the third one? 7. Right? So I have the 557 endpoint and then the center I just established with the midpoint formula when I folded that piece of paper in half. And what does that give me? It gives me -2, square root of -2 again, and it gives me square root of -1, which gives me square root of 4 plus 4 plus 1, which again gives me square root of 9, right? That's my r. So what does that mean? So I have the center figured out and I have r figured out. That's what that means. That means I can go ahead and complete everything. I'm going to bring down this formula and bring it right down here. So it's going to be x plus h squared plus y minus k squared plus z minus l squared equals r. What's great about this is it's a bunch of fill in the blanks. It felt long, but all we did is do the midpoint formula and the distance formula. For radius, it was the distance formula. The distance formula is the same thing for equation of a sphere without the square root. And there's a little bit of radius at the end. Okay, so I'm going to do x, y, and z for the points. I'm not going to fill out any numbers on it. I'm just going to keep the alphabets. And I'm going to do a plus. Oh, wait. It's not supposed to be plus. It's supposed to be a minus. Let me fix that. Right? It's minus. I'm going to do minus, minus, minus. And I'm going to do the center I just found. Right? That's the setup. What about r? Well, with r, it's either going to be 3 squared or it's going to be 9. That's it. That is my final answer. This whole entire long thing is the equation of a sphere. That's the equation of a sphere if the diameter had the endpoints 999 and 557, right? So just like earlier, if that was 999 and this was 557, and it's saying, hey, what's the equation of this sphere? Well, the equation of this sphere that we just worked on is this guy right here. This is the equation. This is the setup. And it tells me right there, this is my center, this is my center, this is my center, this is my radius, right? So I hope this helped. Okay, thank you.